or people coming from trauma or dealing with serious racism or violence, that this present moment or this ever new impermanent nature, this direct experience that we're having now, is a place of equality, true equality. And this is not the equality of the normal people, not the normal idea of equality, such as I am equal to you, or me and you are equal. Me and you, or such and such a person and another person, are not equal to each other, in the same way that we are not superior or inferior to anyone else. So we may wonder, why this is. I thought we're all supposed to be equal. We're all supposed to be the same. But the reality of the situation is that there is not someone in particular to be the same as someone else in particular. In the world of the created truth, then many people are superior to us. Many people are inferior to us. Depends on the case. Depends on the situation. Maybe this person is stronger, or this person is wealthier, or this person is weaker, or this person is more skillful, or this is my house, or this is your house, etc. So this idea of equality is, even if it is true or even if it is correct, it will only be correct in the created sense. And that created sense can change moment by moment according to causes and conditions. Welcome to those from Michigan. For most of our life as a modern human being, most people, we have only known about the created truth, the created situation, such as I am someone and you are someone, and we are in such and such a situation, and we need to deal with that. We need to fix that, or we need to solve that, or we need to attack that or defend that for such and such a reason. Because we have only known about this, most of us, we only know about using the power of the created truths, only know about using the power of the stories, the complicated ideas, the different people. And because we have only known about this, and we are most used to this, just like anything, it means that we are attached. We are attached in a very subtle way, a way that is not easily understandable, concerned with the intellect, or concerned with our picking and choosing mind, our kind of logical mind or our solving mind. We are attached to being someone. We are attached to being somewhere. We are attached to being in some kind of situation with good and bad, right and wrong. And so when we use with attachment, we tend to cultivate ignorance. We tend to cultivate our desire and our fear, and we act, frankly, in a very stupid way. We act in a disrespectful way. We act in a way that causes harm, not only to ourselves, not only to the others, but also to the environment. I mean, look at what we're doing to this planet for private wealth development, for some kind of private gain, right? So the next logical step we may think, oh, so I have to reject the created truth. I have to reject being someone, or I have to reject going somewhere or doing something in particular. This is the same. This is just like the king who wants to fight or destroy the other king because he thinks that it is right or she thinks that it is wrong, etc. So rather than fighting, rather than trying to control or fix or to solve, we have to detach. We have to step back. What is it like to step back? What is it like to be thinking about something, thinking about someone, having a habit energy about a certain activity? We can only do things now. What you've done in the past, what you will do in the future is not for sure. But what we do now, we can say that is what we can really work with, what we can manage. So in whatever you are doing now, some activity, some like or dislike, anger or fear, anxiety, what is it to step back from that? What is it to step back from the created truth, the story of yourself, the story of the world? Well, firstly, rather than fixating on focusing on someone, some place, some situation, some experience, some habit, some wrong or right in the world and us in the world, all this wrong and right, good and bad. Stepping back, becoming aware of what's happening right now. You may find that if you start to become aware of what's happening right now, concerned with the body, there's not much to attach to. There's not immediately much of a someone or a something or a someplace or some time or some situation. It is not easy to attach to the experience of seeing. It is not easy to attach to the experience of breathing. So when we become mindful or when we become aware of this happening now, this breathing, that is still in the world or in the realm of the created truth. Because we are attaching, we are grasping onto temporary phenomena. But it is a little bit like a detangler or a degreaser, inasmuch that our main sufferings we have, even if we have physical health conditions, physical health issues, or environmental issues, maybe the air in our area isn't very bad to breathe, right? When we start to look, to experience, to step back and come to our breathing and be mindful of our breathing, we untangle these narratives because we can see that what is at the core of our experience, which we would not be able to have any of these other experiences without this core, let's say the body or the mind, that someone can't reach it. That's something that some situation can't reach it. Some place can't reach it. Our meditation center here is in the south of Italy. There are some cases, there are some situations going on here that I'm responsible for. But in the direct experience of breathing now, where is it? Who are these people? What are these situations? Now, at this moment, we can go down two different directions. We can go into the perpetuation of the created truth. We can dredge the waters to bring up all the muck that we can get our hands a hold of. Surely we know how to do that. But we can also detach. And so that mindfulness of the physical sensations in the body, that mindfulness of the direct experience that we are having right now, is conducive to detachment. This is why we practice meditation, so that we can detach from the created truth. However, just in the same way that it will be difficult to come home after a hard day's work to a filthy house, maybe the toilet has exploded and sewage has flowed into your home. When you go in there, it's going to be quite difficult to deal with that, to experience that, to practice meditation in that, because you still have a lot of attachment. So the supportive conditions, the carefulness, the consideration, the caretaking that is at the heart of the Buddhist path allows us to step into this practice realistically and seriously. And that culture, that way, that heart is a heart of generosity. It is a heart of mindfulness and goodness, doing good deeds. Doing good deeds is inclusive of what we don't do. So if we are busy doing good deeds, we will not be busy doing bad deeds, isn't it? So if we endeavor, or if we set the intention inside of ourselves for whatever reason, hopefully not because someone kind of convinced you or paid you to do it, but if we convince ourselves, if we have this inspiration come into our heart about walking the path, about becoming enlightened, about lessening the unwholesomeness in our minds, we need to hold generosity in a higher regard than we hold our ego. We need to hold listening in a higher regard than we do to speaking. We need to hold giving in a higher regard than we do to receiving. And in the same way, we need to hold in a very high regard being good, rather than experiencing pleasure. Being good, following precepts rather than experiencing pleasure and avoiding pain. Meditation and listening to Dhamma talk and concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, all of these are included. It's an inclusive trip. You don't have to pay anything extra. But when you look at your life, when you look at the way that your mind is, when you look at the way that your mental actions, verbal actions, physical actions are, you may be able to easily consider that, whoa, I'm kind of out of control. I'm not able to completely control myself. My insight, my wisdom, my understanding is not complete, is not total. So when we recognize this, we open the door to detaching from our own understanding, to abandon our own understanding. Doesn't mean that you abandon common sense, because it's not to reject anything. You think, you do, you like, you dislike, you have your own opinions about things. Yeah, of course, that's not going anywhere. But you practice to detach from what you think is right, what you think is best, so that you can make use of, not attached to, but at the beginning, it is helpful, it's a workable approach to attach to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. To attach to the meditation teacher or the spiritual teacher. This isn't a marriage. This isn't a contract. But you need to open yourself up to the possibility of development that is not just about your discriminating mind, what you think, what you believe, what you like, what you dislike, your wisdom, your compassion. And when you can begin to detach from your own understanding, and you can listen and you can practice and you can try, you should be able to develop. And as you develop, you will have a greater capacity to detach from your own view, your own perspective, your own understanding, your own opinions. And what that means is that your vision will be clearer. Your vision will be sharper, so that you won't need to rely on lesser teachers. You won't need to rely on whoever you can get your hands on that's saying something and holding up a crystal. I'd hold up one if I had one, so it's nothing against crystals or people who hold them up. But instead of trying to find someone or find something that gives you what you want, you have to consider how you can detach from what you want. Passively, okay, but actively as well. How you can give up, how you can give away what you want. And the more we develop this power, this quality inside of ourselves, in whatever way, through donating, through volunteering, through sharing, putting ourselves out there, our vulnerability in safe places. Be careful not to overshare. Keep your head on you. But you will develop the power to detach from other things as well. And then when particular cases come up, when you are in a position of responsibility, when it is required that you get involved, right? And we will still have a lot of attachment for a long time. Let's be honest about it, right? When you will have to deal with something, your vision will be clearer. And you won't only have this I or this way of like and dislike, or this is the way that it is, and, you know, uh, I like that and you're doing that, etc. But you will be able to have the eyes of Buddha, the ears of Buddha, the hands of wisdom, the heart of compassion. Maybe you won't do it perfectly. And none of this is about doing anything perfectly. We don't have to beat ourselves up, but we do have to look at ourselves. And it isn't until we start engaging, it isn't until we start reaching out, not to get. Everybody's reaching out to get, but reaching out to give, reaching out to offer, reaching out to share, and reaching out in a more and more beautiful way. But before we can step forward, we have to become more skillful in stepping back. When we feel the anxiety arise in us, when we feel the complicated thinking arise in us, when we feel the fear, the anger, the greed, the desire, the confusion, we notice it, we recognize it, we experience that suffering. And then we know how to step back, how to detach. We know how to soothe our own heart. We know how to not fix the world and fix the situation, but be there with the child that is inside of ourselves. That child doesn't even know about the world, doesn't know about politics, doesn't know about the dangers of the human world. And that child is there with you, always, since you were a baby, since you were a little one and you developed that conscious. So when we step back, it is like the great mother holding her child who is in a particular situation that needs her attention, that needs to be fixed, that needs to be solved, etc., etc., and makes the decision wisely to step back and hold and soothe her beloved one, her precious one, her baby. We all need to know how to do that. And this goes against a lot of what we're being taught and a lot of what is being advertised in the world that says, hey, if you get enough money, if you get enough status, followers, if you get into a nice enough place, you're going to be happy. Everything's going to go your way. When the reality is that this body and this mind already are not satisfactory. And that's not because you don't have enough, it's because you have too much. You're carrying so much around with you. Mental baggage, physical baggage, tensions, material things. And the mind's stuckness, the mind's grasping onto all these different material possessions, all these situations, all these people, all these places, all these experiences that the mind just cannot let go of. And so we are exhausted and stressed and tension because we are holding on to all these things tightly, let's say subconsciously or subtly, and we're also weighed down by them. What we can do, where we can go, who we can be, it's all limited. Why? Because all of this baggage is on us, is in us. And there's all this tension, so we're constantly wasting our energy trying to keep all of this stuck to us, all of this to be me, my, I. So the Buddhist position on this I problem, this self tension, this self heaviness, is not a rejection. It's not to say you don't exist. If it was as easy as that, there would be a lot more enlightened people out there, because I'd just start calling people, you don't exist, you're not real. Oh, amazing. And, we have enlightened villages or something real quick. We just all go run outside and start yelling at people. But rather, the Buddhist position is the practice to get ourselves to a certain point where we can truly ask, where is this I? What is this I? And the why of the I is more the unraveling. The why of the I is what happens naturally when you start to ask the question very deeply in a way that helps detachment reach all those different little answers that we come up with. It can be helpful for us, as I imagine most people here, probably everyone here, is not in a war zone, probably has never been in a war zone. Maybe you've never been in an earthquake, or you've never been in a situation or a position where you weren't certain about where you would get water, or how you would have access to good food, or any food. So it can be helpful for us, even though we feel a little bit vulnerable. We're much stronger than we think that we are, actually. It may be helpful to remember Gaza. It may be helpful to remember the recent earthquakes in Taiwan. It may be helpful to remember the civil rights movement in America. What it was like to be a black person, a black child growing up in the 60s, in the 50s, in the 40s, even today for a lot of people. And so we're not feeding our egoic mind, we're not feeding our fear, but we're recognizing the sufferingness of this human world, of this saha world, this world of samsara. And this experience of suffering deepens our understanding. This willingness to experience the suffering. And there's plenty of suffering. We don't need to get more. Actually, that recollection of Gaza, Palestine, Israel conflict, genocide, is not to bring in more suffering, but more so to recognize where we actually are. The safety we have. The preciousness of this moment, not to be at war, not to be in extreme danger, to have a place to sleep, to have food to eat, to have people around us that don't wish us any harm. To bring the mind home. Not dreaming, not theorizing, not conceptualizing, but to bring the mind home. And the breath is very powerful for this. When we listen to Dhamma talk, especially live Dhamma talk like this, if you find the mind wandering in a certain way, or you find that you seem not to be in the suitable condition to practice with this, experiment with your breathing. Breathe deeply. Hold your breath for a moment. Let the breath be natural. Maybe add a little bit of extra control to the breath, whatever it may be. But the process that we're participating in here is not to figure things out or to solve things, but mostly to bring this mind home to the body so that we can look and be with and experience one of the most precious and vital points of our attachment, of our grasping, of our self-fixation, of our anger, of our fear, of our defilements, and for sure our capacity to help and to serve. And that it's evidently clear that this body is not a story. And the body is just a means to detach from the body, in fact. Meaning that we forgive the body. We have compassion for the body. We love the body as we would love, as a mother would love her only child. We hold the body in all its uncomfortableness, in all of its difficultness, in all of its unsatisfactoriness. And the breath is this place of the mind-body connection. So let's sit together for a few minutes. Making sure that the body is comfortable and stable, much as it can be. And breathing wholeheartedly. Being with the breath. And in being with the breath, allowing the mind and the body to soothe each other, to attend to each other. And as we do that, we can close our eyes and we can detach from the outside world. We can detach from the past and the future. A detachment that is not rejecting anything, but is more like a clear embrace, a wholehearted embrace of what's happening now. So let's sit together for a few minutes, comfortable and stable, attending to our breathing, and enjoy this precious moment to be together in community and to practice meditation. When we practice meditation, we are giving up, giving away, detaching from the body and the mind, not allowing thoughts or stories to control us, and also not allowing the body to dictate terms. Aware of the body, but not controlled by the body. Aware of the mind, but not controlled by the mind. Every moment of meditation in this way is an act of generosity, an act of detachment. Even though there are many desires, sensations, feelings in the body, we come back to being aware of them, giving away our reactivity, giving away using the body and mind to meet our desire or to meet our fear, and rather using the body and mind to detach, to abandon, to refresh, and to restart. It is no small task to become a Buddhist, to become a believer. It is no small task to become a meditator, to become a practitioner. But if we approach it sincerely and authentically, if we concern ourselves with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, if we show up day after day, moment after moment, breath after breath, in a way that is not completely and totally concerned with our desire, then fearlessness will become more accessible. And as fearlessness becomes more accessible, so too does the dissolution of the ego. So too does the dissolution of the person, the place, the situation, the right and the wrong. But if you really make the choice to approach this, you must understand that there is a lot of right and wrong built up in you. There is a lot of duality, a lot of karmic affliction, greed, anger, delusion. And to transform this anger, this greed and delusion, we will have to face it. And when we practice that meditation, it's like parasites reacting when we do a parasite cleanse. When we take a herb or medicines to cleanse those parasites, they react. We can feel them. We can feel our anger react. We can feel our complicated thinking react. We can feel our greediness, our self-fixation react and come up. When that happens, we must meet it with concentration. We must meet it with gentleness. We must meet it with consistency. Otherwise, we will not be able to reduce those poisons in us. And that is precisely our work, to face anger and relieve anger, to face greed and to relieve greed, to face the delusions, to face attachment on created truth, and bring our mind back to the original nature. Bring our mind back to this moment by moment, breath by breath experience. Let's finish our gathering today with a dedication of the merits. So welcome to bring your hands together, and you can unmute your microphone on Discord if you're here in the Discord Zoom meeting. And you can repeat after me. May all the merits that we have done till now
May all the merits that we have done till now
be dedicated and shared out
be dedicated and shared out
towards all beings,
towards all beings,
whether we like them or not,
whether we like them or not,
whether we love them or not,
whether we love them or not,
whether we fear them or not,
whether we fear them or not.
may all beings receive and rejoice in these merits.
May all beings rejoice in our merit.
May it be,
May it be, may it be,
may it be,
may it be, may it be,
may it be.
may it be, may it be.
Okay, dear Sangha, thank you all for being here today. See you tomorrow at the same time, all right? Be well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Be well, everyone. Be well. Thank you.
Okay, you have a good sit, Donald?